What the fuck is that?
So good news everyone, The Expanse has been cancelled. Okay, that is not really good news. The good news really over here is a series like Lucifer might find a home at the CW after having been cancelled by Fox. After having been cancelled as well by Fox, Brooklyn Nine-Nine have found a home at NBC with a 13-episode 6th season. I think the upcoming season is going to be the 6th. Don't remember exactly, but you get the gist of it. Now, I do believe the same might actually end up applying to The Expanse. The series is the best in its genre, and it is based on best-selling novels, amazing novels at that. I can only attest to how amazing the first 3 are, because those are the only ones that I've read. I've only read up to Abaddon's Gate, but I do really believe it is a solid investment. I think any network investing in The Expanse will be a winner. Personally as well, I do believe it's gonna end up on Netflix or Amazon, but we've got a lot of time to go. The series is still airing its 3rd season. We're not yet to the halfway mark, and so we've got a lot of time to find out where it will end up, and hopefully it is going to end up somewhere. Now, another thing I want to point out real quick over here is I'm really sorry I haven't reviewed 2 episodes so far. Last 2 weeks I haven't touched The Expanse at all on this channel. The problem is I was sick. I ended up traveling on business after that, and then I became sick again. I almost didn't review it this week because of that. You can tell by my voice probably, and that's all because of the change of weather and all of that stuff. But nonetheless, I'm here right now, and I'm going to start reviewing this episode, and hopefully you do like this review. It's going to be brief in order for me not to strain my vocal cords, but next week is going to be better. We're going to be expanding a lot, and as usual, on the entirety of the episode. So without further ado, let's talk the most recent 3 episodes of The Expanse Season 3. So number 1, and speaking of episode 4, that entire thing with Drummer going out to get the Nauvoo back, the very same ship that is destined in the books to become a warship for the Belt. That entire sequence reminded me of something I said on the premiere of the season. Now, one thing to consider, I'm not spoiling anything out of the books, but I think they're setting up Drummer to become a hybrid from the books, to become both Drummer from the books and Michio Pa. Now, I do think that is going to be happening over the course of the next few episodes. Not going to spoil who Michio Pa is, or what the destiny of Drummer would be if she were to be so. But nonetheless, it's gonna be interesting and pretty entertaining. Number 2, the speech made by Esteban on episode 4. That was another highlight. The speech written by Anna was pretty good and pretty inspiring to start with, but he also did use it to add his own portion to it at the very end. A portion inspired less by Anna and more by Errinwright. I do like though the dynamic between Anna and Errinwright. I mean, it's an animosity dynamic, but nonetheless, it is pretty reminiscent of the dynamic between Errinwright and Avasarala. You know, there were so many scenes on season 2 that kind of gave us this dynamic, except of course Avasarala is more cunning than Anna and can handle someone like Errinwright with much more ease than Anna does. But number 3, the arc of Katoa continued on this episode, and it is another highlight of the episode. Now on episode 3 we did see Jules-Pierre Mao kind of change his mind. He does not want to go with these experiments anymore. He doesn't want to experiment on kids, but obviously by the end of the episode Dr. Strickland kind of continued his experiments with Katoa. But during the events of episode 4, Mei tries to find Katoa. That leads Jules-Pierre Mao to find out that Strickland is still experimenting on the kid. And while he tries to stop Strickland, stop all the experimenting on kids, he decides to change his mind last minute because he realizes that not only Katoa could communicate with other Proto-molecule all over the place, but that in and out of itself, this ability of his could be used for them to understand the objective and the purpose and the plan of the Proto-molecule. So yeah, the awakening of the conscience of Jules-Pierre Mao, that was just temporary. That was not something final, and that was not something that would stick around, even though right now his new decision is pretty much all about understanding what's going on, trying to save humanity and protect humanity from going down a drain created by the Proto-molecule. The only scary part over there though was that Mei Ming is next in line to be experimented on once the experiment with Katoa kind of went sideways. But number 4, I do love how they are bringing stuff forward and moving stuff back on the series from the books. They're not really going by the correct order from the books, but they still do manage to do it so well. So the first debut for the MCRN Hammurabi was not really within the events of Caliban's War, as it is on the series. It was more during the events of Abaddon's Gate, the third book in the novel series. But after those Martian officers were helped and rescued by the crew of the Rocinante, and after one of them ended up meeting with Avasarala in what was a very funny scene, by the way, they ended up making it to the Hammurabi. Now, Sandrine Carino, the captain of the Hammurabi, she does not seem to be anyone from the books. She does not hit me as anyone from the books. But I did like her character. I did like what they did with her. So what they did over there is they pretty much made her into this Martian patriot, but she is not left without a brain. She is willing to listen, and that's what she does when one of those officers returns back to the Hammurabi, or makes it back to the Hammurabi. Now, as the events of episode 5 unfold, we lose a lot of good people. We lose Admiral Souther, and we lose everyone who's supporting him on board of the Agatha King. And Admiral Wynn also goes into a craze. He wants everyone to stand in line, he wants everyone to follow, and what he does over there is he has UNN ships shooting at one another. And right then and there, the Hammurabi and all MCRN ships, upon the orders of Captain Sandrine, make the right move. They hold their fire, they do not shoot. The UNN ships are destroying one another, so let us just sit back and watch and not participate in this entire mess. But right then and there, we're getting number 5, missiles shooting out of Io, proto-molecule missiles, the Rocinante team landing on Io, and we're getting the start of that battle that we've been waiting for since episode 2, since the epicness of episode 2. The battle next to Io, the battle that a lot of readers have been looking forward to, the battle that we got to watch a lot more of on episode 6. So let's talk some episode 6 and number 6. So episode 6 was plenty of crazy, a lot of stuff going down. We've got James Holden getting his own prisoner, Jules-Pierre Mao that is, and we've got Jules-Pierre Mao telling him that all he's done so far was to stop the proto-molecule on Venus. Now, as of this moment, the arc of Jules-Pierre Mao is over and done with, or almost over and done with. But even when we get to that point, the point where it's over and done with, the Mao family name is not going to be over and done with. It's going to come back as part of the events of Abaddon's Gate, and it's going to come back heavy. It does depend though on whether or not they plan on doing that part of the books on the season or on the next season. Well, if the next season gets picked up by another network or streaming service, or if they just plan to skip it and do without it. Number 7, one of the top moments on this episode was the reunion of Prax-Mei, but nonetheless this moment also brought us a Strickland playing a sheep instead of a wolf. Now, I do like how Prax introduces Amos as his best friend in the whole world. That was really good, that was really touching. It is actually the perfect outcome for all that build-up that we've been watching throughout the second half of season 2 and the first few episodes of the season. They've become family and they have become best friends, and that is why after that was perfect watching Amos be Amos and Prax be Prax. So Prax wants to kill Dr. Strickland, he wants to avenge Katoa, and he wants to avenge whatever would have happened to his daughter if he would have been late for a minute. But Amos is right, you're not that guy. Amos is right as well when he turns to Strickland and goes, "I am that guy," before he shoots him dead. Kinda reminds me of Mac on season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm the guy who kills Gordon. Number 8, the success of Anna to get the UNN Secretary General to take down Errinwright. Did that put a smile on my face? I mean, I want to use the word satisfying over here because that was a satisfying moment, but satisfying is just not enough. It was way beyond satisfying. Watching Errinwright being taken away in restraints, that was just amazing. That was just the perfect moment on this episode. That was a moment I really loved. The arc of Sadavir Errinwright though has been changed from the books as well. It hasn't been changed by much, but nonetheless, it has been decently changed. Keeping that in mind, I'm not really certain if he's going to be forced to retire as the case was in the books, or if he's going to actually be tried for treason. But even though it was pretty satisfying seeing Errinwright go down to shit, we've got a new problem in a Secretary General who thinks he can now blame everything on Errinwright, that he did no mistake, that all of it is on Errinwright and nothing is on him. Everything that led to this point and everything that led to 2 million people dead in South America. Number 9, even though Katoa is gone, and even though what remains of him is a proto-molecule infested body, it still felt so bad to watch him die. You just look at the monster that he's become, and you look at Draper killing him, and you can't help but think, okay, this is still a kid, or just used to be a kid, like an episode ago, and it just doesn't bode well with you. But nonetheless, Katoa is gone, the arc of Katoa is over and done with, and Katoa is dead. Number 10, whatever happened with the Agatha King, the infestation of the proto-molecule all over the place, that kind of makes you think of whatever is going to happen to the Rocinante at some point. Now, just to remind you, there is proto-molecule residue in the lower deck of the Rocinante, and that is probably going to come into play at some point down the road. possibly as well this season. Number 11, we've got Katoa sacrificing himself. We've got Fred Johnson contacted by Naomi in order to use the missiles he got from Earth, or he stole from Earth, in order to stop the attack against Mars. That's one way to make sure that this war ends. That's one way to make sure that the war does not continue forever. It just felt with all of that everything was falling into place. Everything was coming together the way it is supposed to. It also felt that all the loose ends have been handled on this episode, most of them at least. Number 12, we are approaching the end of Caliban's war. It's almost over actually, only there is one thing missing, and that I'm waiting for. So the proto-molecule structure emerging on Venus, that is something huge. That is going to be a huge network later on, a huge proto-molecule network. But more importantly, there's a part about Venus that we are yet to talk about, that we are yet to watch on the series, and that I'm waiting for so badly, and that will be amazing to watch on the series. I'm not going to discuss it though, but that's pretty much the end to Caliban's war. I'm expecting that to be something that we get to watch in next week's episode, and once we get to that point, all of us are going to be extremely excited. Book readers and non-book readers, you're going to love that part of the novel. So yeah, I imagine everything with Caliban's war is going to be tied up by the end of next week's episode. I imagine that we're going to get that part, we're going to get to that point by the end of the episode, and episode 8 is going to start the events of Abaddon's Gate. That being said though, my work here is done, so let me know in the comments what you thought of the past 3 episodes. Now because I tried to review 3 episodes on one video, I probably forgot a lot of stuff over the course of this video, so if you do realize that there is something important that I did forget mentioning, please let me know in the comments. Let me know as well if you did like this video by dropping it a much appreciated like, and if that were to be the case, you could always subscribe and enable notifications for my future videos, community posts, and live streams. My apologies once again for my messed up voice throughout this review, but as I did state early on, I'm really sick, have been really sick for a couple of weeks over here, and it only got worse by the change of weather. But until I see you next time though, thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.